Alex Jones apparently. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, "Gosh, Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide is a great show. I'd like to like and subscribe." But beyond that, you're also thinking that, gee, if anything Alex Jones has said over the last 2 fucking decades was true, the Illuminati or whatever fucking elite organization of eyes wide shutters that are out there would have, I guess, bumped him off. So he's either controlled opposition and is lying to everybody in a completely manufactured way, or he's just blazingly full of shit. I go for option 2, but even if you're cynical enough to go for option 1, this is Alex Jones telling us how Israel and the U.S. are walking into a trap. It's a trap. Yes, and by the way, that's bold statement coming from Alex Jones, a man who makes Admiral Akbar look attractive.
Israel and the United States are walking into a trap.
It's a trap.
That's what Gaza is.
Gaza's a big trap.
And we have two ancient cultures, communist China and the Persians, Iran, that know exactly.
The Persians, Iran. First of all, the Persians and the modern Iranian leadership are completely different. And there's plenty of Persians who are against that organization. You're fucking idiotic. The ancients of this, the Zoroastrians have been planning this all along as a trap for the Jews ever since they escaped from the Pharaoh.
Exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen these huge uprisings since the supposed hospital got bombed yesterday. And now we know it was the parking lot got hit. It wasn't 500 dead. But as Mark Twain said, a lie goes halfway around the world before the truth puts its pants on. And it's very...
Is that before the truth puts its pants on? Is that how it works out? What if the truth doesn't feel like wearing pants that day? What if the truth feels like wearing a skirt? That never happens. And also, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth can get its pants on. Is almost the sort of mission statement of the Alex Jones show.
Very clear that they're firing a bunch of rockets from a cemetery right behind the hospital, and one of them fails. You can see it. There's a whole bunch of videos, including from local news stations, and it falls into the parking lot. And there have been hundreds, 400 plus rockets just in the last year that have admittedly been fired out of Gaza. They're very, very primitive and failed and exploded.
Jesus Christ, man. Whatever it is, swallow it.
On people's houses.
I'm getting gassy just thinking about it. Some of these things, they come and they go back up, kind of like my acid reflux.
And on roads and in the farms there in Gaza. So this is absolute propaganda, but we're not supposed to question it.
And we've been questioning it. I had no problem talking about it. We talked about it with Texas Paul. This is, again, a fucking myth.
So they're still saying Israel did it, and I'm not saying Israel.
No, they're not. By the time he got on saying this, that everybody started recognizing that, that wasn't true.
Perfect by any stretch of the imaginations, but
my neck fat is coming back on me like a Hamas rocket.
It's overwhelmingly clear they lied about this whole thing, and you see the whole global media getting behind it in giant demonstrations, even in Dallas, Texas, just north of me, huge hordes of people waving their Palestinian flags, Hamas flags, and so
horde's a good word.
This is really the end.
Especially if you're planning on trying to drive one of your dickhead followers to open fire on people.
Within the gates, totally open border, hundreds of thousands of military-age men every few months streaming in, and it's totally outrageous. Meanwhile, Homeland
and all of them getting construction jobs.
Security still says the number one security threat is
domestic security threat.
Christian conservative Republicans, Catholics. Anybody that's questioning the power structure, that's the official directive is we the people.
Right. I don't know if you know this, but foreign fighters or foreign terrorists coming across the southern border into the United States is still a foreign threat. The number one domestic threat would be fuckwads like this guy's followers who are going to take up arms and storm a fucking Capitol and do their mini Jan 6.
The demographic conservatives with the lowest crime rates, the hardest working, the most honest people, we're targeted by this criminal regime while they give $6 billion to the mullahs just 5 weeks ago, while they give $87 million.
Yeah, except that money's still frozen.
Alex, let's pull the camera back for 1 second. There's no.
Let me point out, Alex, if I could, that I'm you're one of the few people that looks worse than I do. That let's pull back and look at it. Both of our desks are covered in paper that we never read all the way through.
I think one of the reasons you've been so right on so many of the calls that you've made over the years, over the decade.
He's literally been wrong on everything. The only thing he's right on is stuff that the mainstream media was right about too. Yeah, run back to Agenda 21. When did the UN shock troops land?
Decades. You are pretty dialed in. You know a lot of folks in the national security apparatus, particularly the intelligence apparatus. How?
No, he doesn't. What the fuck are you talking about?
How was this missed?
Yeah, I've got a guy that calls my show and because it says he worked for the company.
Or was it missed? How was something that was planned for 2 years, that was a military operation over a vast scale of territory in Israel?
Obviously, this is a plan by the Persians and the tribes of Circes and the Mayans and the Aztecs are in on it too.
An air, sea, land, highly coordinated invasion
of guys on fucking motorcycles with rifles and rocket launchers. You know, how do they even get those kind of things?
And not just caught the Messiah.
In a world where those things are everywhere.
Was it Shin Bet and IDF military intelligence by surprise? But then the response by IDF took 6, 7, 8 hours. How did that happen, sir? What do your sources tell you?
Well,
because
I mean, it's clear the Israeli government admits the biggest intelligence failure in their 70-plus year history.
Why would they admit that unless they wanted it to happen?
And then we know that they've got hundreds of attack helicopters, including more than 50 Apaches that were literally just 10 miles away.
They could have strafed that music. They could have killed everybody at that music festival before the terrorists even got there and saved Hamas the trouble.
And so they stood down for at least 7 hours. And
because they were in and amongst houses and innocent civilians, and you can't really open up with attack helicopters on your own civilian population.
There were all sorts of retired Israeli military that drove down from the north to try to fight. And so it's one of two things, and I think it's a mix of both.
Right, yeah, it's one or the other, but probably both.
Israel's been in an internal political civil war. A lot of people have walked off the job. A lot of people have walked out of the military. And so you had very small units down there on the border in southern Israel, on the border with Gaza. And then you have Netanyahu, who's extremely unpopular, but's been able to stay in power because of parliamentary procedures, kind of like Trudeau has.
Yeah, exactly the same way. Yeah. But Netanyahu being a right-wing hardliner, manipulating things and trying to get rid of the judicial system. Meanwhile, Trudeau is the right-wing hardliner of Canada. I'm sick of his warmongering.
And so there was clearly some calculus there, and he said this before, that if Israel gets struck, it makes Israel stronger. And so I lean towards a complete stand down. That's actually what in national polls most Israelis think.
Right, because they're all fucking taking off the same conspiracy bong.
Has happened. But there's also a big component here that there were national strikes across the country, big demonstrations every weekend. With
Dick Cheney ordered all of them to stand down.
Netanyahu's judicial reform.
All the airplanes were flown up to worry about Hezbollah when this was coming from the south.
And so I'm not taking sides in the incredibly sectarian battle.
I don't have to. I like both bullshit explanations because they're perfect for me. They're childish and conspiratorial and the kind of bullshit that I sell every fucking day. So the fact that other people are saying it.
That happen, if we think we have partisanship here, it's nothing compared to Israel. It's over the top, as you know, Steve.
Yes, they're a divided country, and we've never complained about it until just now.
But bottom line, the final equation here is they've
settle it for us.
Moved in a lot of liberal Jews in the last few decades.
That's what it is. Those liberal Jews, and they want Hamas to. They think they deserve it, and they want Hamas to get in there and kill some people because it's only fair.
Gaza, who didn't or settled the area of Israel right by Gaza with 2+ million people that want to kill them, many of them, and the idea that many of the Jews that moved in there didn't even seek gun permits, which you can get fairly easy. Now the Israeli government's basically saying, all of you better get a gun. No kidding. I mean, if I lived next to a fence with 2 million people firing rockets at me and suicide bombers, it just shows how
Asshole, you have a gun because of the subdivision you live in, you absolute bloated puss.
delusional and soft
You human fupa.
the West has gotten. And so many of the people moving to Israel have come from countries with no Second Amendment, and so they're lambs to the slaughter.
They don't have any amendments, by the way. They don't actually have our Constitution. It's weird.
Alex, they had Burning Man down there with all the young people, that the Supernova, whatever the trance, music dance party, like Burning Man, a half a mile from Gaza. If the Hamas or the Muslim Brotherhood's animals on the morning of the 8th, they were animals on the 7th, the 6th. It's pretty shocking that people sit there and just look at Israeli citizens that didn't take the threat seriously, sir.
This is, by the way, Bannon fucking with Alex Jones. This is where you get the storyline going around that Bannon is a chaos agent for the establishment and all that kind of stuff. It keeps coming up because he does this with Mike Pillow. He does this with everybody where he sets them up to look like dickheads, and everybody, and then acts like he's on their side.
Well, that's right. Thousands of Israelis and Europeans and others taking ecstasy and acid, dancing all night with
like peaceful music fans.
Giant speakers.
Sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to get in trouble.
Booming, boom, 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 with all that trance music.
That probably is what caused it. They're just sitting there like, kill Jews, kill Jews, kill Jews. Let's do it now. Let's do it now. It wasn't so much. Basically, they were like, turn that music down, and then they came over there and they killed everybody because they don't like trance music.
That's like waving a giant steak, a bloody steak, in front of 100 starving wolves. Where is the common sense? And
yes, you should never party or celebrate life anywhere near people that you wouldn't party with or celebrate life with, I guess.
And again, I'm just looking at basic takeaways. Maybe the Israelis have thought they were safe with the Iron Dome and all their high-tech security. And
yeah, maybe, normalcy.
And maybe they were that.
He's saying trance music, but he's saying it in a way that sounds like trans music, probably is red meat, considering it's like waving a bloody steak in front of the wolves that is his audience.
Delusional that they were safe. And so I'll say again, America has the same problem. We've brought millions of these people in.
And we think they're just going to be happy working construction jobs and sending some of the money home? Are you nuts?
Now see them boiling out on U.S. cities, including in Texas.
Boiling out?
Like ants out of an anthill or bees out of a beehive.
Or, I don't know, praying mantises out of a praying mantis house. Or baby spiders out of a nest on someone's face in a horror movie that goes... Or Tic Tacs out of a Tic Tac container that it has a crack in it.
And they're openly joining Black Lives Matter, saying overthrow America.
So Venezuelans who are fleeing the communist regime in Venezuela are coming to America and joining Black Lives Matter to overthrow America because they want it to be like the place they fled. Gee, I don't know why I thought you were an asshole this whole time.
So any way you slice it, these people on average are not going to assimilate. They are only going.
Yeah, they're not going to learn English. They're going to stick to that Portuguese or whatever that nonsense is.
Going to try to conquer us. They're allied with the Democratic Party.
Well, we've already got you conquered then, because we have the White House, and why would we have to fight if we control the elections and we run everything, and we own big tech and big government and big pharma and big military industrial complex and big everything, and all you've got is Mushroom Dick and his followers. Why would we even need to fight? I don't know. How do you revolt against your own revolution?
The Democratic Socialist,
other than just in general being revolting like you were.
The Marxist-Leninist And that's another reason the border must be shut, and we need to deport all these people now. But
yes, get everyone out. Everyone. Anybody who just looks brownish.
regardless, when and if there are terror attacks in this country, I think it's only a matter of when, not if.
Right. Largely white supremacists and black supremacist groups. Those seem to be the two trigger groups right now.
We all need to hold the FBI and the Justice Department responsible.
Even if they weren't here when those people got in or wasn't related to those folks, or if it's you and your followers, for example.
That have put tens of thousands of agents out there persecuting and prosecuting people that walked through velvet ropes on January 6th.
No, there's like a few hundred that are actually getting real jail time.
And going and harassing conservative parents that don't want CRT or
no, just the ones that threatened to murder the vice principal of a school.
Or drag queen pedophile time at their school boards.
Which is, you know, again, that belongs on Alex Jones's phone, not around children. Except Alex Jones's children, I suppose.
Eternal focus on the American people while the gates are wide open and the Islamic hordes pour in is going to be the death of this country. And
I see. I didn't realize that the Venezuelans or the women and children from South America that are largely Catholic are actually Islamic hordes.
You hold the establishment responsible for what they've done.
And the establishment would be both the uniparty Republicans and Democrats, largely the rhinos. I see. I blame Republicans.
Alex, you said your fear is that a trap's been laid for both Israel and the United States in this, and you've got, you know, a new world order. They're rubbing it in our face coming out of Beijing with Putin and Xi rubbing up on each other.
Yeah, they're rubbing up on each other. That's the way I look at it.
You've got the Persians, you have the Turks.
The Persians and the Turks. You got the new Ottoman Empire and the Mongols. And I'm very concerned about Vikings at this point.
You have Egypt, these ancient civilizations.
Yeah, if they find a way to put engines underneath the pyramids and put them in satellite orbit around the Earth, and they can kind of link all three of them together and make kind of a submoon, they can influence the tides, and you're retaining water. How?
What is the trap? You fear a trap. What is that trap, sir?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. Iran is it's a trap. They took the $6 billion. Biden gave them
no.
5 weeks ago, and then
no, they don't have access to that money.
Allocated the other money they had towards launching this jihad,
which cost about what, $40,000.
Then they can.
Dead serious. How much do they fucking think this cost? They were building these little missiles that these rockets, the dumb rockets that they're sending over. They build them by hand. This isn't high-tech shit. You don't need $1 billion to pull off something like this.
Control.
And yes, he said, Biden.
The PR, and when the Israelis fight back, they can turn the world against Israel. And I think this is part of the Great Awakening.
Oh, wait, hold on. I think this is part of the Great Awakening is literally the last thing, and then they cut. Watch this. Hold on, shit. Wait 1 second. Wrong clip.
Control the PR, and when the Israelis fight back, they can turn the world against Israel. And I think this is part of the Great Awakening.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to wait till he gets on a roll. If you need any more evidence that Steve Bannon is more than likely an asset of the FBI or the CIA, literally created to fuck with these idiots. I got to say, more and more I'm convinced by these clips that that's his gig. Holy hell. Anyways, I love you guys. I got to finish with the show. Tomorrow I'll be doing the show from LA because I'm also going to be on John Fugelsang's show. And then I will be doing my show on Friday and the radio show on Saturday from LA. And then we've got Sexy Liberal, sexyliberal.com for tickets for the live stream of our show. Please get them now. I'm very excited about doing the show, and I'm more excited about the shows we're going to have going forward starting in January, because we're going to be out on the road, and I'm going to try and get us out into the nether regions with John and Frangela. If Steph doesn't want to go, I'm still working on it. Keep your fingers crossed. I'm working on a new agency, so if I can get them on board, that would be a thing, and then off we go. But either way, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the show, liking, subscribing, being here, and considering the fact that I don't do clickbait fucking titles. I'm just, I dick around and I'm kind of being cute with my titles, and I'm not creating these fucking, like fish hook titles that people do. The audience that we're growing here is pretty spectacular. And so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up. And I'm sorry when I can't be here and it stresses me out. And I want you guys to know that, because I really do want to be here for you. And I will do my best to keep the quality of the show up even as I'm on the road over the next little bit. So until I see you tomorrow at the regular time, 4 p.m. in Pacific in the afternoon, take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And remember, if you're ever confronted with a choice you believe is the lesser of two evils, choose less evil. Okay?